Hello and welcome once again. Okay, so today we're going to go straight up into the next segment of our course. We're making good progress, right? I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be talking about three major topics. One of them is pauses. I hope you like my black marker. It's clearer, I think, easier to see, right? So today we're going to talk about pauses. Now, we've highlighted this before, but I'm just going to make a few points about it. One is that you don't want to be uncomfortable with the pause. Get used to the pause. It's okay to pause when you're speaking. So if you want to pause, you could pause either for effect, in which case you are pausing so that your message gets across in a way that makes impact. Take, for example, I want to tell you about an accident that happened and the fact that people were careless. I could just say, the people were going down the road, but they were so distracted, talking, yabbering among themselves, jabbering up and down, until suddenly it happened. You see the pause between my suddenly and it happened. It tells you that something is about to happen. You're waiting, you know that something is coming, but you don't know what. So the pause makes that it happened more forceful. That's called pausing for effect. So one is to pause for effect, okay? Two is to pause to catch your breath. Sometimes when you're speaking, you can get out of breath. And if you keep going, then you're going to sound like you're being rushed. And the people who are listening to you may not even be able to catch the content that you're delivering. So you may want to pause just to catch your breath. You may also want to pause to segment your speeches. You know, when you're writing, you tend to separate different topics into paragraphs. So also when you're speaking, you can pause to separate one point from another. So if I'm talking about the weather and I say, first of all, we have sunny weather. This tends to happen between this time and that time of the year. And then after that, we also have rainy season. The rainy season happens from this time to that time. Say, okay, from say March to October in Nigeria, right? So the rainy season happens during that time. Now, in between October and the next really sunny weather is something we call Harmattan. I pause. Harmattan is a combination of very dry weather and cold atmosphere. So you see what I did was I separated it. So you now know I'm going into a new topic. And you can do that with a pause. Now, pauses come sometimes when our speaking is happening faster than we have time to process in our minds. And so you may just find yourself at a pause because you're still trying to gather your thoughts. So pausing to gather your thoughts, okay? This part is where people struggle. Why? Because we think that we have to fill every space with a sound. And like I have mentioned in previous material, you don't want to do that. Don't fill it with a sound just because you think you have to. So if there's a pause, let it be. If you're pausing to catch your thoughts, to gather your thoughts, then let it be. Don't fill it with air or empty sounds, okay? Just be comfortable with that pause. Gather your thoughts and continue the thought, delivering the thoughts that you're trying to deliver. Okay, so that's it for pauses. Next, we talk about gestures. Gestures are the movements that you make with your hands. If I'm trying to talk to you over and over again, you see my hand is going over and over. That's communicating the same thing that my words are saying. You want to make sure that your gestures are in sync with what you are saying. So over and over again. Went up, came down. All over the place. All over the place. You see what I'm doing? My hands are in agreement with what I'm saying. my hands are in agreement. Hands are in agreement with what I'm saying. It's kind of like sign language, but not so much, because what you're just trying to do is make sure that your body language is in alignment with the words that you're speaking. And of course, we've talked about body language previously, so I'm not going to overburden that point. So just make sure that you use appropriate gestures and that you don't forget to actually gesture. Some people are so nervous that they clasp their hands or they put their hands behind and they just keep talking. You see, when your body is inside the talk, like if I'm excited and I'm doing this, you see, the excitement comes across better than if I was just saying, I'm so excited, okay? I'm so excited. I'm happy to be here. Great to see you. The other thing is, the more you open your hands, the more welcoming you seem. When you open your hands, you're saying to the people, I am here for you and I'm happy to have you. But when you clasp your hands, you put them together, you hide them. It's like, I don't trust you. And if you don't show your hands, then why should I show mine? And so you find that that response also comes across from your audience. They are not as willing to connect with you because you are not as willing to connect with them. So gesture openly, but don't be excessive about it. Okay? So that's it for gestures. And the last thing is audience engagement. Please bear in mind that all these rules apply whether you're talking online or offline. So when you're talking online, you'll notice that audience engagement is a bit different from when you're in a physical audience. If you're talking to a physical audience, you're with people, you can decide to actually step down from the stage and connect with the people, say hello to one or two people, use them in your examples. So you ask for their names and they give you their names. You can say, oh, okay, and that's how, if Pamela was standing on stage right now and said this and that, and you use her in your example, she feels connected. Others feel like you are with them, because if you connected with one of us, then you are part of us. Make sense? Okay? So you want to engage with your audience. Another thing to do is to ask for feedback. So ask questions that make them have to respond. How many of us, by show of hands, have been to another country apart from this one? How many of us, by show of hands, really prefer warm weather to cold weather? How many of us, so by show of hands, people are now involved because now they have to think about what you're saying and they have to respond. And that helps you to also connect with them, because now you're not just talking about something that people say outside, you are getting their own feedback and you're working with their feedback to communicate your message. So these are things that you can do. So ask questions, engage with a few of the people personally in the audience, walk among them if possible, depending on what you're talking about, and get feedback. Get feedback, very important. When you're doing this online, same rules kind of apply. Getting feedback is not as easy, but you can ask them to drop a word or drop a number or drop an emoji, something in the chat box that lets you know they are there, or answer a question, maybe short answers to your questions, so that you are sure that they are engaging. You can ask them to show their faces, but some people may not want to, depending on what it is that you're talking about or the kind of audience you're dealing with. But you can get them to respond by getting them to answer questions in the chat. And then you can even find ways to reward them. You can say, for the first 5 people who are going to do this, I'm going to do this in exchange. And that's more likely to engage people, because now they want to respond because there's a reward associated with it. So I hope all these help you with engaging better with your audience. A lot of these things that you're watching on these videos, you're going to have to watch again and reapply. Okay, but please don't just gloss over these things, because they are the little foxes that can spoil the vineyard or can beautify it. It's up to you. All right, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you again on another video. Bye for now.